have my creepy October Halloween TBR, which means that over the past few months I've bought I think 9 books. I've got them here that have either a Halloween theme or are creepy of some nature, and in fact I also have one true crime book in here, so all kind of things that I would consume in the autumn months, especially in this month of October coming up, leading up to Halloween. So let's get right into it. So I wanted to start off with the true crime book I mentioned. This is actually a poetry book. It's called Into the Forest and All the Way Through by Cynthia Pelayo, and this is a book of poems based around disappearances and murders of women. I think especially over the past 50 years or so, and it deals with women that never really got the attention they deserved, either from the police or from the public. And I've heard that it's a very personal work for her as well. She spent years and years researching these missing women and put it into this poetry collection. So this is the, I think, most serious book I've got on here, and this is, I think, the only book that is going to actually make me feel sad or scared or like a genuine emotion. I tend to gravitate towards less serious books around Halloween time, especially because I don't actually like scary stuff that much, and especially graphic horror is something I don't really deal well with. So as you'll see for the remainder of these books, they're actually mostly children's books that have that creepy atmosphere and sometimes genuinely scary moments, but they're still lighthearted, and at the end of the day it's about probably friendships and bonding and just saving the day, and it's an adventure that you know will always end well. So while there are actually creepy and scary moments in there, you know that it's more of an entertainment read. So the only other 2 adult books on this list are Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a graphic novel that I think most of you will know. I was actually kind of surprised that it was this thin and that it was this big. Somehow I thought it was gonna look different. It's very glossy as well, and well, it has a lot of creepy, I think very beautiful drawings in there as well. So I've heard from a lot of people that this is genuinely scary as well, so I look forward to dipping into this one, wrapped in a blanket with my tea and my cookies on the side, and maybe be creeped out. And then finally, the last adult book on this list is Talk to Me. This is an anthology of Arctic horror stories, as it says right there on the cover. And Talk to Me is an Inuktitut word that means in the dark, and these spine-tingling horror stories by northern writers show just how dangerous the darkness can be. So one of the things in here is a zombie apocalypse, and another thing in here is surviving in the wild, I think. But there are probably also far more maybe paranormal darkness stories in here. So it's relatively short. It has some nice layout choices. And I look forward to dipping into this one, maybe one story at a time, if they're genuinely as spooky as some of the reviews make me believe. So finally, the books that I really want to read this October leading up to Halloween are the children's books that I have. Let's start with one of them that looks very imposing, but I think I will fly through, which is Thornhill. This book is so cool. It's, I think, maybe an ex-library copy that I got online, but it's very matte, and it has these nice black page colorings. And this is, I think you could almost, it's not really a graphic novel, but it's text, like a diary text, interspersed with drawings. So Thornhill is about a girl who moves to a house that is opposite of a decrepit, I think it's an orphanage. There's 2 storylines in here. The first is of the girl who moves there and kind of explores this house, and that story is done entirely, let me get a good page. So here, that story is done entirely in drawing. And then there's another story of a girl living at that orphanage at the time, which is done entirely in, ooh, there's another creepy one, done entirely in diary entries. And I'm really looking forward to this one, and since it's mostly drawings, at least half of it's drawings, I think I'll fly through this as well. And from what I've seen, the drawings are really creepy and have a nice atmosphere to it. So this is definitely one to get into that creepy Halloween mood. Staying in the theme of illustrated children's literature, I have a graphic novel called Shauns Tea Party. This one is on the lighter side, but it has these amazing autumn vibes. And as I said, this is a graphic novel, but the coloring of it is just amazing. And I don't think it's necessarily very scary, but I've heard that the story is very impactful. So it's about a girl who at a seance tea party calls up this ghost of another girl, and kind of they hang out together, and I think it's about moving on and finding your place in the world. So it's kind of a coming of age story, even though one of them is a ghost. So there are definitely some Halloween-y vibes, but it's not necessarily a scary read. I don't think it's scary at all. I think probably very comforting. And from what I've heard, this story stays with you a long time. So I'm really looking forward to it. Oh, and these books were by Pen Smai and Romana Yee. So the next one I've got is Scritch Scratch, written by Lindsay Curry. This book is, I think, set around Halloween, or at least it's surrounding a ghost tour bus. So the main character is called Claire, and her father runs this ghost bus tour through Chicago. And she doesn't believe in ghosts at all. She's very scientifically minded until one day she starts being haunted. And I think this haunting has something to do with the tour bus that they are on. And from what I've heard, this actually has a bunch of facts, or I guess real life ghost stories from Chicago and the area in it. So like genuinely haunted places that you can go visit in Chicago, or at least places that claim that they're haunted that are actually out there. So for people living in the area, it must be really fun to actually see these landmarks represented in this book. But it might be fun to learn a little bit about Chicago history as well. And again, even though it's a children's literature book, I heard that there are some genuinely creepy moments in here. And it's a bit repetitive to keep saying, but again, I'm really looking forward to reading these. Then I have two more. I think I'll get into this one next, even though this is one I don't know anything about. But, I mean, look at that cover. Look at it. I mean, how can I not get this one for October or Halloween season? It just looks amazing, and it's definitely about ghost stories again. A spooky old book that Evelyn discovers. Oh yeah, so this is The Haunting of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. And I actually didn't know anything about this book when I bought it. I just saw it, and I think it was on sale, and I was like, more books for my Halloween reading quest, I guess. This is about Evelyn, a girl who is investigating the disappearance of a girl called Primrose, whose spooky old book she found. And they, I guess, go on an adventure. And it's actually illustrated as well, which I love for the season. Is just, you know, to find something that kind of lets you get into that creepy atmosphere and mood. So that's one reason that I also love graphic novels and children's literature for this kind of thing, because they are more likely to have illustrations in them. So yeah, looking forward to this one as well. And then finally, it's also a children's book, but it's also a short story collection that I've heard nothing but good things about. But it was out in hardcover for a while and it only just got released in paperback, so I knew I had to have this one. And actually had this on my wish list, I think maybe like for half a year, and it finally came out, and as you can see, right in time for Halloween season for October. So this is Scary Stories for Young Foxes, and it's written by Christian McKay Heidecker. And this is about a troop of young foxes who go out into the wilderness against their parents' wishes, and they tell each other scary stories. And after each story, one of the litter, I guess, goes home until there's only one left. So it's short stories, but it has an overarching plot. And I wonder if the stories are also connected somehow, and what's going to happen to the final fox that remains in this book. So this is, I think, the one I've been looking forward to the longest, and it's also one of the thickest. But again, it has great illustrations throughout. So, of these foxes and what they get up to. And I saw that in the meantime, while I was waiting for this book to turn out in paperback, he has actually released a second collection about young foxes in the city. So I guess those are more like urban related horror stories, where these are, I think, kind of fairy tale related maybe. All these books I am planning to read in the month of October, and since they're mostly either short or graphic novels or children's or short stories, I think I should be able to get to them all. And if I do, there's actually a couple of books on my list that I might want to reread from previous Halloweens. So if I get through these quickly, I have a couple of books left that I also wanted to show you guys, in case you would like the recommendation. So one book I read every Halloween, because it's incredibly short and it sets the right tone, is How to Make Friends with a Ghost by Rebecca Green. And this is an incredibly tiny, cute little picture book. It has these very fun end papers. I'm not going to show you much of the inside. You can already see what an amazing, I think, illustration style it has, and I don't want to spoil too much since it's so short. I won't show you anything, but you can probably find some of it online. And it's literally just that, how to make friends with a ghost and what kind of things do ghosts like. And this is actually a book for younger children, but I think it's so cute, and I just like to read it maybe on the 1st of October to kind of get into the mood and get that Halloween reading in. So some of their books I read in the past and really enjoyed are Small Spaces and Dead Voices by Catherine Arden. So these are all about the same girl, 11-year-old Ollie, and her two friends Coco and Brian, and they get up to a bunch of stuff. And Catherine Arden is writing a book about this group of friends for each season. So it started out with autumn, then we got winter, and I think summer just came out in hardcover. So I'm waiting for that to come out in paperback as well, which will probably be next October. So I can read it by then. But until then I have these books to reread, which I might do if I have some time left, because they're just very fast-paced, fun, kind of Halloween-y stories. And the overarching theme is that there is some kind of Halloween spirit who is wanting to cause them harm. So in the first one, they get stranded on a school trip to, I think, a pumpkin farm, and the scarecrows come to life. And on the second one, they are trapped in a mansion with little electricity and a snowstorm outside. So these are definitely very fun as well, and I would recommend it to anyone, both of them actually, for any kind of season, but especially the spooky one. And then I have two more books which are kind of in the same vein as Scary Stories for Young Foxes, which are these two, Death or Ice Cream, written by Gareth P. Jones, and then The Wrong Train by Jeremy DeQuid. And these are also short stories bound together with an overarching theme. So in this one, they are taking place in the same town, and you kind of meet the same characters throughout the stories, and each one is just kind of deliciously creepy, but also in a very fun kind of children's book way, which reminds me a little bit of maybe the stuff from Roald Dahl, So this one was very fun, but I've read this for I think the past 2 or 3 years, so I don't think I'm going to read this one again this Halloween, but I do still definitely recommend it. And then The Wrong Train is a book that I found on audio and read in a completely different season and completely loved, because some of these stories have definitely stayed with me kind of as a creepy and genuinely creepy experience. And I bought this book a couple of months back from a secondhand seller, and I've been looking forward to rereading it again. So I hope to get to this one this October as well. And then finally, there's another graphic novel, which I'll probably definitely have time for, which is Sing No Evil by G.P. Ahonen and K.P. Alar. This story itself hasn't really interested me that much. It's about a metal band, I think play a song and then demons happen. I don't really remember that much, and it doesn't say much at all on the back here. It just says the Percaros, which I think is their band name, are Eskel, the perfectionist frontman with a stutter, Lily, the keyboardist looking for a break, Kervinen, the bassist who has been around the block a few hundred times, Bear, the drummer, who is literally a bear, and then Aiden, a pizza delivery guy with a voice that'll give you visions. So some kind of demonic stuff happens. The story is not my favorite, but I absolutely love the art, which is why I've kept it around. I just really love the style, and there are also some really good, maybe spoilers, but really good coloring and just kind of like nice vibes. So the story is definitely fit for Halloween, and I think I maybe haven't read this for 5 years, but I've kept it on my shelves because I love the art so much. So every now and again I'd like look at a page to see the art again, but I think it's time to actually reread the book, and maybe this time the story will stick more with me, but I definitely want to see all of the amazing illustrations again. So those were my TBR plans for Halloween and the whole month of October leading up to Halloween. I've got some new books that I definitely want to read. I've got some old books that I probably want to reread. And who knows what else may come upon my path this coming month. And actually I do know one book that's gonna be here, hopefully, somewhere in the month of October, which I have pre-ordered. And again, this is a book that's been out in hardcover that I've pre-ordered in paperback, and that was supposed to be here in 2 days, but they've delayed the release date again. And this book is Ghost Squad by Claribel A. Ortega. Now, this book has been on my wishlist, on my radar, since before the hardcover came out, mostly because of this incredible, beautiful, amazing cover. I love the illustrations. The art is actually done by Lorena Alvarez, of which I have a couple of picture books, and I absolutely love her art. And I don't actually know if Ghost Squad will have illustrations by her throughout the book as well, but I definitely hope so. And if not, I'm just happy to have this book with this amazing cover just on my bookcase. And I've actually heard a lot of good stuff about the story as well. So this story is about two friends, Lucily and Sid, and they, shortly before Halloween, set up a spell that frees all these malicious spirits, and they have to get them back to wherever they came from before Halloween comes around, because something disastrous could happen. Those were all the books that I'm planning on reading in October, and some of the books I maybe not plan on reading but definitely recommend that you should. And I hope you found this video useful for some Halloween recommendations that are not that spooky. I'll definitely update you on how I thought these books were and some of my October favorites, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!